Hello, we have a question on section 3.2, problems 23 to 28, and it just goes with the function 2x squared plus x minus 1, and ask you about some few points about the domain and some intercepts. So this function is 2x squared plus x minus 1, and want to know if the point -1, -2 is on the graph. So all you have to do is evaluate f of -1. And if that output is -2, then the answer is yes. If the answer is something else besides -2, then the answer is no. So it's quite simple, a yes or no answer. So this becomes 2 times -1 squared plus a -1 minus 1. So 2 times -1 squared is 2, and then -1 and -1 is -2, so it's 0. And that does not equal -2. So the answer is no. So if the input is -1, it had to be -2 to be on the graph. But the output on this one was 0. So actually, -1, 0 would have been on the graph. Now, on this next one, if x equals 2, what is the value of f of x? So it's just a simple plug in 2 and see what you get. So if you plug in 2, 2 times 2 squared is actually 8, plus 2 minus 1. And then 8 plus 2 is 10, minus 1 is 9. So the output is 9. So put in 2, you get 9 on this particular function. And the last part is what point is on the graph of f of x. So when I put in 2, I got 9. So 2 9 is the point. 2 9 is an ordered pair. So that is a solution point for that particular function. And part C, if f of x is 2, that's the y coordinate. There's an if that's 2, then what is the value of x? So this is kind of backwards from this problem right here. Here's when you plug in 2 to see what you get for y. And on this one, I'm going to put number in for y and see what you get for the x. So it's just in reverse order. So you get 2 is the f of x, and that equals 2x squared plus x minus 1. So solving for x means you got to factor it. So set it equal to 0. So 2x squared plus x minus 3 equals 0. Subtract 2 from -1, you get -3. And so that becomes 0 equals, and you factor it out, it's 2x, x, and I believe a 3 goes here and a 1 goes there, and that's a plus and that's a minus. So in this case, it's x equals 1, and in this case, it's x equals -3/2. So as a matter of fact, there are 2 places when the output is actually 2. And those points are at -3/2, comma 2, and 1, comma 2. So when x is -3/2, you get a y coordinate of 2. And when you get an x coordinate of 1, you get a y coordinate of also 2. So there's 2 places there. The next one is what is the domain of f of x? Well, this one's kind of an easy problem because when you're looking for the domain, they look for what numbers will work. And since this is a quadratic equation, it's never going to be undefined. You put negative numbers, it's going to be okay. You put in positive numbers, it never gives you a 0 in the denominator because there is no denominator. So everything is fine. So it's all real numbers. And then the last one, in the book they gave it to you at E and F. I just kind of gave it to you in E and just did both of them at the same time. But what they want on this section is want to know the intercepts, the x-intercepts and the y-intercepts. Now, to find the x-intercepts, you set y to be equal to 0. And you factor it. So 2x times x and a 1 and a 1. And I think a plus goes here and a minus goes there. So factor that out. That's what you get. And so x is 1/2 in this case, and x equals -1 in that case. So there's 2 x-intercepts, one at 1/2 and the other one at -1. So this point would be 1/2 0. And the other one would be -1 0. So there are 2 x-intercepts. And this last one is the y-intercept. So actually it should be singular because there's only going to be 1. But on this one, you set all the x's equal to 0. So it'd be 2 times 0 squared plus 0 minus 1. So you just plug in 0 here and here. So to find the y-intercept, you make x is equal to 0. And so that'd be -1. So the y-intercept is 0, comma, -1. So, you put all this together and all this information. I mean, we're done with this particular problem. But you can put a lot of this stuff together to see kind of what the graph actually even looks like now. You don't have everything. You're going to learn later. There's more information that you're going to need. But you know some stuff now. You know 2, 9 is a point on this thing, so you can go over here 2 and then up 9, so there's 2, 9 up here. You know there's another point at -3 over 2, 2. So about right there. And you know another point at 1, 2, which is right there. So domains all real numbers. X-intercepts are at -1, 0, which is, what is that? So we got, what is it? 1, 2, and -1, 0, which is right there. And 1/2, 0, which is right there. So, and then 0, -1, which is there. So you kind of connect these points. You kind of get a rough idea of what this thing looks like. Actually, it probably goes a little lower than that. It looks more like that. It's a parabola shaped. So now that's getting a little ahead of ourselves. That comes a little later. But I just decided that get all this information that you have here and then put it all together and just kind of show you what the graph actually looks like. So what you're doing here is just taking different aspects of the parabola. You found the X and Y intercepts in part E, and then you found some points, also points on that. So, but anyway, that concludes this section 3.2, problems 23 to 28.